You spoke about, the GCCs, you spoke about, and of course, nobody knows better than you. Now, here is a scenario which has happened. We have seen the tech data centers getting bombed in the Middle East. I see that could be an opportunity for India for the migration of those particular data centers out here. I also see a possible migration. 400,000 Indians have been evacuated. We have close to 90 million out there. So there's a huge diaspora. Now, I want to ask you out here whether you see this as a net benefit to India by the reverse brain drain or brain gain back for the motherland, or do you think it's going to be a liability because remittances are going to stop, right? Also, from a pure tech point of view, if I combine this along with the demography that we have, I still wonder and question myself whether we have a demographic dividend or we have a liability, because it takes to the other problem about how the resources have been trained, and also about whether influx of such migrant population back to India due to these reasons, is it going to give an overall flip or is it going to add strain to the economy?
Yeah, again, thank you. I think they're all very pertinent questions. So let me first answer the GCC, the data center thing. Now, you know that significant investment announcements have already been made as far as setting up of data center infrastructure in India is concerned. We've seen announcements to the tune of $70 billion, and it's growing every day. Already has been made. The bigger challenge that I see, and we've not really spoken about that, is connectivity. Okay, let us remember that 1/3 of our westbound internet traffic flows through the same troubled waters where we are seeing war today, which is the Strait of Hormuz. That is a big risk. The water that carries the low data rate, India has got the lowest tariff as far as data is concerned. The waterways that carry that traffic are on fire. You cannot send ships in to repair cables, God forbid if something were to happen. And these fiber cables are just the size of your garden water hose. So that I see as a big risk. The second is we were supposed to get significant additional capacity to come in. In fact, this month, which has now got stalled. When you start looking at applications like AI and you start looking at serving global customers from India, as far as cloud applications and others are concerned, Manas, you know better than me, there are two key determinants, latency and bandwidth. And if both of them are going to get compromised, that could absolutely impact the India story. So I think we have to be very, very mindful of the fact that while today GCCs are continuing to serve global customers, while the data centers are coming in, they are setting up shop in India, we have to sort out our bandwidth, our undersea cable issues. They are going to be very important. That means India needs to make more investments on the eastern coast so that we are able to leverage submarine cables out of the Pacific, if you will. India will have to invest a lot more in terms of creating the right infrastructure to be able to support and repair cables. And India will have to find alternate routes, maybe come by land and so on and so forth, to be able to serve the European markets as an example, or the African markets as another example.
So I have a suggestion to make, if I may. Is it not the time for the government to just open up the satellite bandwidth system? And, Elon Musk has been waiting for Starlink to bring it in India, and so is the Reliance Group. Is this not an opportunity and an opportune time to open it up? Because, again, laying down cables and fibers across the seabeds, it's going to take some time. We are not going to have it overnight, right? And then today you could have these troubled waters, and tomorrow you could have the Eastern Theatre.
So you need both. You need both. You need alternates on both. Let's take a minute on satellite. I've been in that industry. I worked in the satellite communications industry in the 90s. Latency is a big issue when you start looking at some of the applications. Cost is another issue. We must remember that at the end of the day, the reason why people come to India is just not for the talent, it's also for the cost. So we must remember that whatever we are able to deliver, we are able to deliver at a affordable cost point, if you will. So yes, we can open up the skies. It will solve some of the problem. But then you look at AI applications, you look at, how they hog bandwidth. And it's not just one way. This is not like a television network where you're just beaming one way. This is two-way communication. So, you need to be able to cater to that as well. Satellite will provide some respite, but the harsh reality is that until we have high speed, low latency fiber, given the volume of the kind of data that's going to flow, particularly if more and more firms are going to come to India to set up data centers, it's going to be very, very significant. So we have to depend upon cable for a long, long time. Yes, there will be alternate things that we will do, which we also did. You remember in 2008, there was an accidental cut of a cable in the Persian Gulf. And if I remember at that time, 60% of our bandwidth all of a sudden disappeared.
And then we had these... then we built the networks of the Pacific and so on.
That took time, as you said. That took time. But we need to look at land routes. I mean, we need to start thinking about it. We need to look at the eastern seaboard and see what we can do there. Go via the Pacific, sign up more agreements. And there is more capacity which is already lined up, for India. Unfortunately, because of the war, we have not been able to get that connectivity, on the ground. But sooner or later, some of that will happen as well. So I would see that as a very important determinant of long-term success for Indian IT.
So if I have to wear an optimistic hat, and which I also like to wear because of the company that I have, if I see the Indian diplomacy, the way they have worked, and the fact that we have positioned ourselves as always as either non-aligned or strategic autonomy or whatever, it should be hopefully benefiting us in terms of more people coming from Middle East and setting up our data centers out here. We recently had an India AI summit, and of course there was a lot of hype around it. We can quantify that, how much was it just or not. I wanted to ask you, by shifting gears out here, how ready we are for the AI revolution, both as terms of consumer and in terms of creators?
Right. Let me answer your question straight. I think as consumers, no marks for guessing, right? Everyone in India is a consumer. You also mentioned and you asked a question on demographic dividend. Is it positive or is it negative? And this debate has always been there. My view, and you spoke about the India AI Summit. If you were in any of the halls, which I'm sure you were in when the India AI Summit was going on, we had lots of global AI leaders who were coming in. What was very visible was the high energy in the halls. I don't know if you saw that. It was visible. That kind of energy you don't see everywhere in the world. The number of people who were gate crashing, trying to get into the AI summit was not funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a very clear indicator that in India, people recognize that AI is here. They recognize it's going to change the way the narrative is going to be for them in terms of employment, their livelihoods, the way they engage, and so on and so forth going forward in the future. And therefore, I think I have tremendous belief in the youth of India. I work with a number of startups. I watch what they are doing. And I can tell you, Manas, I am so impressed with the level of focus, the understanding, the diligence, their optimism, and the kind of work that they are doing. It is unbelievable. We're not seeing it in front of us because, as you know, it takes time for all of this, the tree to grow. But I would say the seeds that we are seeing being sown, we should be incredibly proud about the brilliance of the youth of our country and what they are doing. They start from their dorms in college, and then they kind of bring it right out in the open. The number of areas, the kind of areas, whether it's quantum, whether it is this, whether it is that, I think in every area, they are stepping forward, and we will see these results in front of our own eyes. I am very optimistic about the youth of India, what they are doing, their capability, and their ability to take our nation forward. They will make this nation proud. 20 years from now, India is going to be a very different India because of them.